Hey, Warren Eckstein. I don't always get to go over a lot of individual questions that you guys ask me, but very often I get some calls from people or emails or texts or even on the show, Warren, my puppy's doing some weird things. What do they mean? I can give you a list of thousands of things that they do that may seem weird to you, but let me start out with a few and then I'll add to these as we progress over the next few weeks. What are biting and chewing? Warren, why is my puppy always biting and chewing on my hand or my foot? Generally speaking, when we bring a puppy home, they're still going through their teething stage. And that means their mouth hurts and their gums hurt. So very often they constantly chew to alleviate some of that anxiety, some of the stress, and some of the pain. Now I want you to understand a couple of things. Biting each other is normal for puppies. They have fur, you don't. Doesn't hurt the other puppies, it hurts you. Believe me, I know. So again, one of the most important things that you need to know about the excessive biting and chewing is number one, increase the exercise. And number two, let's try to eliminate some of the pain in the dog's mouth. How do we do that? Obviously giving him his own things to chew on, number one. Number two, take some of his favorite toys. Pop them in the freezer. Maybe put a little drop of Cheese Whiz on. The reason I say that is anyone who's ever had a child knows that when a child's teething, to alleviate the pain, what you do is you give them the frozen teething ring. I don't want you to give the dog anything to chew on that he's not going to be able to chew on later. That's why I recommend his own toys or pet items in the freezer for the dog to play with. And also rotate their toys. They get bored of that pretty easily. So teething is a big reason for the excessive chewing, especially with the younger puppy. Even at 3 or 4, 5, 6 months old, they may be through their physical teething. Very often we get what's called the latent psychological teething. So the puppy's still teething at maybe 6 months old or 7 months old, not because of need, but because of emotions, just like the kid sucking his thumb at 10 years old. So that really takes care of excessive biting and the excessive chewing. But I also want you to understand this. What you need to do right now is a lot of people don't wait till they start training their dog at 6 months old. The same energy, the same intelligence your puppy can use to learn how to do something wrong can be used to create good habits. So start young, but that's the chewing, and that's the teething, and that's the biting. Let's take care of that right away. Number two on the list was howling. Why is my puppy howling at night? Howling serves a couple of different things for a puppy. Number one, it helps them alleviate it. If they're a little stressed, they will bark. But more important than anything else, it's a rallying call. When the dog or puppy is howling, especially if they just brought home recently, the howling is a way of bringing the other puppies together. So howling can either be stressful, but in many cases, it's just a rallying call. Let's face it, wolves in the wild howl to bring themselves together. What about the growl? That's the big one. My puppy's growling. My dog is growling, usually with puppies. Not all growling is bad. You know how when you're in a bad mood, you say, I don't want to talk now, we'll talk a little bit later, and it really works out better for you and better for that person because you're in a better mood later on. Well, growling very often is your dog's way of saying, I'm not comfortable, I'm insecure, especially with puppies. So what do you do with that? Some people go to the adversive approach, yelling or correcting a puppy. Nonsense. We need to build up the dog's confidence. Again, that's where the training comes from. So all growling is not bad. It's just letting you know that they're not feeling comfortable in terms of their position. But again, remember, the deeper the growl, the more assertive the dog is. But not so much with puppies. Usually with puppies, they're just trying to establish themselves as the boss, okay? Also important, why do they expose their belly? Warren, I brought this puppy home. I rescued him. God bless you for doing that. And he's rolling on his back and always exposing his belly. Why? It might be cute, but I don't want to look at his belly all the time. Why? Let me explain the belly. There's a couple of reasons a dog will expose their belly. Maybe it's just an itch they need scratched, but in most cases, it's usually a sign of either submissive behavior, which means they're fearful, and the most vulnerable part of a puppy or a dog is their belly. So they're rolling on their back if they're fearful. Usually a puppy that's not been socialized or exposed or around other aggressive dogs may be more apt to do that. But there's also another reason. My dog rolls on his back all the time, exposes his belly. Is he afraid that something's going to happen? Of course not. It's Warren's dog. But very often a dog will expose their belly as a sign of total confidence. They know that you love them. They know that you're not going to harm them. They're exposing their belly saying, hey, I have total confidence and trust in you. Just another thing that puppies do. Yawning. Why do puppies yawn? Sometimes they yawn because they're stressed, but other times they don't like our conversation. Yes, dogs get bored. They really do. Yawning is usually an indication of stress or anxiety, but very often when a puppy yawns, it could also be that we're boring them. They need more mental stimulation. And this is the big one, the dance of the duty. I get that all the time. Every time I take my puppy outside, he poops. He kicks his feet up all over the place. What is he doing? He's making a mess out of my backyard. The poop dance. There's a reason for that. Number one, in the wild or instinctively, they might want to not leave their scent, so they're kicking it around, spreading it further. That could be part of it. But also part of it is dogs have scent glands on their feet. So in a lot of cases, after they poop, they'll do the dance based on the fact what they're doing is putting more scent, spreading it around as a way to say, hey, this is my turf, dude. Stay away. So there's a lot of things you need to understand, very often misinterpreted, and very often often people overly correct their puppy or try to be assertive with their puppy when they don't understand why the puppy's doing so. You know what? It takes approximately, depending on the breed, a year, a little bit longer to grow up. The bigger the breed, sometimes the slower they mature. But usually they go through 4 stages of growth, just like people. Neonatal, imprint, juvenile, and adult, right? But remember that at 3 or 4 months old, your puppy's already going through the terrible twos. So focusing on good behavior is the way to go. I'm going to share more with you in the future, but this is just a list I started to make of some of the more common things about why my puppy's acting weird. He's not acting weird, he's acting like a puppy. You may be acting weird, but he's acting like a puppy. Enjoy. We'll get you more, I promise.